Please come to the floor. All members. The hour for convening having arrived, all members will please take their seats. Mr. Clerk, will you ring the bell? All members, we're going to have the morning roll call. All members present will please vote green to signify their presence in the chamber, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines. Doorkeepers, will you please close the doors and keep them closed? We have a special treat today for our chaplain. I'll let y'all recognize him in just a minute. You've seen him many times here. As is our custom, we will begin our day with scripture reading and prayer by the chaplain, after which we will pledge allegiance to the flag of our country. Our chaplain this morning will be introduced by the lady from the 137th House District, Representative Debbie Buckner. Representative Buckner.
Thank you. Good morning, colleagues. It is my pleasure and my honor to introduce our pastor of the day. He is a graduate of Mercer University, Southern Baptist Theological Seminary, and received his doctorate from Princeton Theological Seminary. He is the 33rd pastor in the history of First Baptist Church of Columbus, a church that is as old as the city it serves. As a preacher's kid, one might observe that God had him in training all his life. As many of you experienced when you went to Columbus recently, he is welcoming, he is great at caring for his flock, he is thoughtful in his sermons, messages, and conversations, he is nurturing and involved in preparing for the future with programs such as Victory Mission, Second Story, and the Mercer Medical School in Columbus. He's also childlike, riding his bicycle and playing with children and youth at the monthly Bible studies at his home. A lifelong Georgia resident, a family man married to Roxanne, they have 2 sons, J.C. and John Christopher, and 5 grandchildren. Now, this is the part you're going to want to listen to. There's a quote on the church website that made me think that we as representatives may be very similar to him. His quote is, "I work 6 days a week to have the right to preach 20 minutes on Sunday morning." Now think about it. We work about 325 days out of the year trying to get or stay elected so we can get a bill passed in 40 days. Now, isn't that similar? Many of you know that Pastor Elder was Chairman Richard Smith's pastor. Some of you may not know he also has the dubious distinction of being the pastor of one of our senators. Being a man of God and knowing how close we are to sine die, I think he would say that we need to pray for the Senate. I know I'm putting words in his mouth, but knowing some of us, I think that we might need to confess that we think some of them need more prayer than others. But before I get into trouble, I want to say that I am honored to welcome my friend, and I'm going to introduce him the way he said he really wanted to be introduced and say, "Here's Jimmy."
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Speaker. Sir. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You're going to get me in a lot of trouble with Randy Robertson over in the Senate, I promise you. He's one of my parishioners, but I do the best I can. Got Teresa up there. You know, I'm very honored, Mr. Speaker, that you invited me to be chaplain for today. That touched my heart, and it blessed me to be able to have the opportunity to be here. I count you as my friend, and am grateful for that. Chairman Richard Smith was such a dear friend. And Mr. Speaker, as you spoke that day, I was so moved by what you said, how you said it, and the blessing that you brought to Richard's family. And I think you brought to the entire house by representing them in such a beautiful way. You blessed us in a lot of ways. You know, I feel so much at home here, and I'm grateful to my friend Debbie Buckner, who does a great job representing us down Columbus Way. And I'm grateful for her friendship, and her daughter Olivia is very special as well. Well, I said I feel very much at home here. You offer your time and you offer your gifts to the great state of Georgia. And my lifelong home has been the great state of Georgia, so I've benefited all through my life for what you as a people have done. You have helped me grow. You've helped me feel safe. You've helped me thrive, and you've helped me become the person that I am today because of decisions you've made in this chamber and because of the way that you have touched lives and will continue to touch them in perpetuity. I'm very grateful for that. And I have the honor of being able to tell you that, not just behind your backs, but to your faces. When I stepped into the pulpit at First Baptist Church of Columbus on February the 5th of 2024, I looked at that sanctuary and it was filled with individuals from across our state. Most of you were in that room. Most of you had come to honor Richard Smith for the work that he had done, for the collegial relationship that you had had with him. There were people in that room from both who had in other places agreed and disagreed with each other. There were people from far reaches of the state, people who worked together and who spoke together and who made decisions together. What struck me and brought me to the brink of tears as I stood in that place that's familiar to me, but was filled with so many wonderful faces, was that all of you gathered on level ground and you left your egos, your politics, your issues, and your differences somewhere else, and you came to honor a man together whom you respected. It was a beautiful moment, and from where I stood, it was a very holy moment. I'm grateful. The top officials in our state and community shared the platform in humility and grace as they remembered their friend Richard Smith. God was present in that moment. The whole room had one focus. We realized, as I said at the funeral, that a great man had fallen. We were all shocked and heartbroken. For a moment, the business of the state ceased, and every heart was joined in what can only be called community. I've never seen a pure example, a parable, if you please, of what it really means to be community. Community is a group of people who, having something in common, by one definition, a feeling of fellowship with others as a result of sharing common attitudes, interests, and goals. Your common interest is the betterment of the state of Georgia. And in the book of Job, we see the central character, Job, who's struck with tragedy and loss and problems, and you've seen your share of them. As we went through COVID and all sorts of other things, you've seen that happen. Well, when Job was sitting there, feeling the pain, feeling the grief, feeling the loss, he was visited by 3 close friends. The friends were Eliphaz the Temanite, Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite. It said, when they heard about all of his troubles that had come upon him, they set out from their homes and met together by agreement to go and sympathize with him and comfort him. When they saw him from a distance, they could hardly recognize him. They began to weep aloud, and they tore their robes and sprinkled dust on their heads. Then they sat on the ground with him for 7 days and 7 nights. No one said a word to him, because they saw how great his suffering was. The 3 friends came out of sympathy. They came from different places. They came to be with him, and they didn't know what to say. They had no idea what to say to a person going through what he was going through, so they did the one holy thing they could. They sat in silence and created community with him for 7 days. The only time they got in trouble was when they started trying to explain why he was going through it. They waited 7 days before they said anything. The power of community is something that we do not need to ever underestimate. We see it in Job. I saw it in Richard's service. I saw it a number of years ago when 2 high-end rival builders within a community where I lived would always fight over which houses they got to build, because there weren't but a few big houses being built, and whoever got it could basically take care of their business for a year. And one of them won the contract, the chosen contract, the one that everybody wanted. He won it. And he got to building it. It had a time limit on it. It had to be finished by a time, or there would be a huge penalty to it. Toward the end of finishing it, he was injured. And everything began to fall apart. His contractors weren't doing what they needed to. Things weren't happening the way they should. They were never going to meet the time. And his rival put his job on hold, took his crew over, and finished the house. The beautiful part of that was it fostered community. It overshadowed competition. Every one of you walks into this place having competed with someone at some point. You have to see a higher mission and use the co-words: cooperation, collaboration, compassion, communication, consistency, complementary, constructive, congenial, and collegial. In short, community. That's how things get done and how God intends for us to relate to one another in our world. We cohabitate a wonderful world and are responsible for collectively working for one purpose, that being the good of humanity. When you do, the poor are cared for, the young people have opportunity, the creative can flourish, the missional can do good, the sick will be cared for, and we will have peace. Everyone will benefit and the problems will be manageable. It all begins with community, as Job showed us. It begins by sitting together in silence and entering into the human condition, as you did at Richard's funeral. His death inspired me and reminded me of something, a poem that I want to share as I close. When a good man dies, 1,000 lights go out, and it's said that a great library is lost. Oh, I've tried to make wise comparisons and wise cliches to estimate in part a good man's loss, for I know the way it feels to have your heart bend low and to understand how dark the nights can be. But a good man has a heritage beyond the grave, and we would be so foolish not to see that a good man leaves a light his children follow, no groping through wilderness or maze, and howe'er their life it shines in brilliance that they can see till the ending of their days. His words came ringing deep in vibrant stereo within the deep recesses of their minds. There's guidance there, enough to get to heaven when once again our hearts and arms entwine. I'm sorry for your loss here on the earth below, but I'm proud to say a good man went away. You'll see him soon. It won't be long. Just follow the lights the good man left along the way. Jesus said, "You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill will not be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on a lampstand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light so shine before others that they may see your good deeds and praise your Father in heaven." That is what makes community, and that's what makes you the blessing that you are to all of us. May God bless each of you in your deliberations, in your cooperation, in the community that you form in this place. We are the beneficiaries. Amen. Will you bow with me as we pray? Lord, as we stand in this place, everyone brings to this moment concerns on our hearts, personal concerns for people we love, concerns for the people we represent, concerns for the state that we hold in trust, concerns for the nation that is a part of our lives and the world in which we live. May you bless, may you guide, and whatever we do, may it be to the benefit to building community and grace and good in the lives of others. In your precious name we pray. Amen. Will you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, sir.
Awesome. Thank you, Brother Jimmy. Brother Jimmy, thank you for your remembrances of a good man, Richard Smith. And we appreciate you taking care of Clara and your congregation. And you're a good man as well. We appreciate you. Doorkeepers, you may unlock the doors. Members, you may join Brother Jimmy in the South Anteroom and thank him for his service to us today and have a photo. Members, our doctor of the day today is brought to us by Representative Mary Margaret Oliver. Dr. Jane Mazzell is downstairs. Get a chance, stop by, utilize her services. I certainly thank her for being our doctor of the day today. Members, if I can have a little order on the floor. Chairman Tarvin, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits, is recognized. Chairman Tarvin.
Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Information and Audits has read the journal from the previous legislative day and found it to be correct. And on another note, everything we have ever wanted is on the other side of fear.
Mr. Chairman, I think there's a lot of truth to that, and I thank you for your insight. Is there any objection to dispense with the reading of the journal? The chair hears none. The reading of the journal is dispensed with. Is there any objection to the confirmation of the journal? Chair hears none, and the journal is confirmed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the resolution establishing the order of business for the day?
Representative Administration of the 104th moves following be established as the order of business during the first part of the period. Unanimous consents. Introduction of bills and resolutions. First reading and reference of House bills and resolutions. Second reading of bills and resolutions. Reports of standing committees. Third reading and passage of uncontested local bills and resolutions. Morning orders.
Is there any objection to adoption of the resolution establishing the order of business for the day? Chair hears none. The order and the resolution is adopted. First reading the bills and resolutions, the clerk will read.
House Bill 1470 by Representative Mathiak, the 74th, Plounder the 73rd, Bazemore the 69th, and Jackson the 68th. Bill be titled an act to amend and act provide for the recreation of the Board of Elections for Fayette County.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 1471 by Representative Ballinger, the 23rd, Thomas, the 21st, Jones, the 47th, Carson, the 46th, Scoggins, the 14th, and others. Bill be titled, an act to authorize the governing authority of Cherokee County to levy an excise tax.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 1472 by Representative Gamble, the 15th. The bill be titled, an act to provide for the creation of one or more community improvement districts in Bartow County.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Resolution 1416 by Representative Neal, the 79th, and Werkheiser, the 157th. A resolution creating the House Study Committee on Felony Sentencing and Punishment in Georgia.
Judiciary non-civil. Members, I would be very much appreciative if you take some of these important conversations to the anteroom. Doorkeepers, will you close that door out front? A lot of noise is coming in from out there. I can barely hear the clerk. Mr. Clerk, if you'll continue.
House Resolution 1417 by Representative Cannon, the 58th, and Bell, the 75th. A resolution honoring the life of Dr. Roy Charles Bell and dedicating a bridge in his memory.
Transportation.
House Resolution 1418 by Representative Lallier, the 59th, Washburn, the 144th, Fryer, the 122nd, Wiedauer, the 121st, Hughley, the 141st, and others. A resolution creating the House Study Committee on the use of local fees to support affordable housing.
Governmental affairs.
House Resolution 1432 by Representative Crowe, the 118th, McCollum, the 30th. A resolution creating the House Disaster Mitigation and Resilience Study Committee.
Governmental affairs.
House Resolution 1433 by Representative Bell, the 75th, Olson, the 72nd, Holland, the 54th, Maynard, the 56th, Clark, the 108th, and others. A resolution creating the House Study Committee on the Eradication of Homelessness.
Governmental affairs.
That completes first readers.
Second reading of bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Bill 1466 by Representative Gullett of the 19th, New of the 64th, Smith of the 18th, Kelly of the 16th, Bumpton of the 17th. A bill to amend an act to create State Court of Paulding County. House Bill 1467 by Representative Hawkins of the 27th and Irwin of the 32nd. A bill to amend an act creating a new charter for the city of Gillsville. House Bill 1468 by Representative Saines of the 180th. A bill to authorize the governing authority of Camden County to levy an excise tax. House Bill 1469 by Representative Gamble of the 15th, Scoggins of the 14th. A bill to authorize the municipal court of the city of Emerson to charge a technology fee. House Resolution 1414 by Representative Smith of the 18th, Huddleston of the 72nd. Resolution recognizing Mr. Mace Aubrey McIntyre II and dedicating a bridge in his memory. House Resolution 1415 by Representative Dempsey of the 13th. A resolution recognizing Mr. Max Tolles and dedicating an intersection in his memory. House Resolution 1419 by Representative Bonner of the 73rd, Clark of the 100, Prince of the 132nd, Cannon of the 172nd, Saines of the 180th. Resolution creating the House Study Committee on Assistance Programs for Veterans Applying for Military Benefits. Through second readers.
Members, if I can have your attention just for a moment. We have two distinguished former members of this House with us. Judge Bryant Culpepper, who served eight years as a member of the House. Judge Culpepper, it's good to have you back. Let's welcome Judge Culpepper back to the House. Now, another distinguished gentleman, the acorn fell a little bit distance from the tree. Senator Walker is over on the other side of the building. We'll pray for him, as we said this morning. But former Majority Leader of this House, Representative Larry Walker, who served 32 years in this House, 16 years as a Majority Leader. Mr. Leader, let's welcome the Leader back to the House, and I want you to say a word, if you will.
Somebody's in my seat down there. We're going to have to do something about this. As I look around this room, there's one thing that really strikes me. I wish that the Georgia General Assembly was in Washington, D.C. running the country, because they dadgum to show you a better job. I'm emotional. Excuse me. A lot of my life revolved around this place. And I'm just happy to be back. I don't come often. I got the other Larry Walker up here telling me what goes on. But I'm glad to be here. I appreciate the great job you're doing. A great job. It's not a good job. And I'm glad to be here, and I hope to see a lot of old friends. I've already seen a lot. And I hope to meet some new friends today, and keep the good work up. Thank you very much.
Mr. Leader, we're so proud that you're back. We know that you laid the groundwork for what success of this state in so many different ways. Thank you for your service and your dedication to Georgia.
Thank you.
All right.
Special day in the Georgia House. Members, I will ask you if you will join former Leader Larry Walker out in the South Anteroom and greet him, and maybe have a photo if you'd like. That would be awesome. What a great opportunity. Reports of standing committees, Mr. Clerk will read.
Representative Robert Dickey, the 145th District, Chairman on the Committee on Agriculture and Consumer Affairs, submitted the following report. The Speaker of the Committee on Agriculture and Consumer Affairs has had under its consideration the following bills of the House and Senate. It's instructed me to report same back to the House with following recommendations. House Resolution 1135 to pass by committee substitute. Senate Bill 132 do pass by committee substitute. Senate Bill 472 do pass. Senate Bill 534 do pass by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Robert Dickey, the 145th District Chairman. Representative Don Parsons, the 44th District Chairman on Committee on Energy, Utilities, and Telecommunications, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Energy, Utilities, and Telecommunications has had under its consideration following bill of the Senate and has instructed me to report same back to the House with the following recommendations. Senate Bill 422 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Don Parsons, the 44th District Chairman. Representative Chuck Martin of the 49th District, Chairman of the Committee on Higher Education, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Higher Education has had under its consideration the following bills of the Senate and has instructed me to report same back to the House with the following recommendations. Senate Bill 137 do pass by committee substitute. Senate Bill 497 do pass by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Chuck Martin of the 49th District, Chairman. Representative Beth Camp of the 135th District, Chairman of the Committee on Intergovernmental Coordination Local, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Intergovernmental Coordination Local has had under its consideration the following bills of the House. Has instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 1402 do pass by substitute. House Bill 1454 do pass. House Bill 1456 do pass. House Bill 1458 do pass. House Bill 1462 do pass. House Bill 1463 do pass. House Bill 1460 do pass. House Bill 1461 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Beth Camp of the 135th District, Chairman. Representative Gunner of the 8th District, Chairman of the Committee on Judiciary, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Judiciary has had under its consideration the following bills of the Senate and has instructed me to report same back to the House with the following recommendations. Senate Bill 64 do pass. Senate Bill 425 do pass by committee substitute. Senate Bill 426 do pass. Senate Bill 433 do pass. Senate Bill 508 do pass by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Gunner of the 8th District, Chairman. Representative Mandy Ballinger of the 23rd District, Chairman of the Committee on Juvenile Justice, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Juvenile Justice has had under its consideration the following bills of the Senate. Has instructed me to report same back to the House with the following recommendations. Senate Bill 230 do pass by committee substitute. Senate Bill 376 do pass. Senate Bill 454 do pass by committee substitute. Senate Bill 520 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Mandy Ballinger of the 23rd District, Chairman. Representative John Corbett of the 174th District, Chairman on Committee on Motor Vehicles, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Motor Vehicles has had under its consideration the following bill of the Senate. It instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. Senate Bill 507 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative John Corbett of the 174th District, Chairman. Representative Shaw Blackman of the 146th District, Chairman on the Committee on Ways and Means, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Ways and Means has had under its consideration the following bills of the Senate. It has instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. Senate Bill 366 do pass by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Shaw Blackman of the 146th District, Chairman. That completes the reading of the reports of standing committees.
Members, we do have a local calendar this morning. A local calendar. Two bills on the local calendar relate to homestead exemption and require a recorded two-thirds roll call vote for passage. Third reading and passage of uncontested local bills. If there is no objection, we will vote on the local calendar as a whole with a recorded vote. Hearing none, it is so ordered. Mr. Clerk, will you read the local calendar?
House Bill 1402.
Suspend, Mr. Clerk. I know the committee has worked on this, and Chair Lady Camp has worked on the local calendar. And I can guarantee you it's important to some members of this House who have bills on the local calendar. Members, if you have a conversation, you need to take it to the ante room. That one's empty, and that one is too. We want members to show the same courtesy when they have a bill, a local bill. I know a lot of these young people up in the gallery, and they sure are behaving very well. I can't say that much for those on the floor, but we'll get there. What do you think, Whip Park? Think I'm right? Mr. Clerk, will you read the local calendar?
House Bill 1402 by substitute by Representative Cummings of the 39th City of Mableton. House Bill 1454 by Representative Jones of the 60th Fulton County. House Bill 1456 by Representative Smith of the 18th City of Mount Zion. House Bill 1458 by Representative Jaspers of the 11th Pickens County. House Bill 1462 by Representative Thomas of the 65th City of Chattahoochee Hills. House Bill 1463 by Representative Thomas of the 65th City of Chattahoochee Hills. House Bill 1460 by Representative Gaines of the 120th City of Commerce. And House Bill 1461 by Representative Gaines of the 120th Jackson County.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered on the local calendar? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bills? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall these bills now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bills on the local calendar will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And Mr. Clerk, will you unlock the machines? Have all members voted? All members voted. If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of the bills on the local calendar, the yeas are 161, the nays are 0. These bills, having received the requisite constitutional majority, are therefore passed. We're going to have a busy morning as we take up our morning orders, and we have a whole slew and a half of morning orders. So if you're in that half, we may not get to your morning order. So if members that get in that slew part before we get to the half, will do your very best to hold it to 1 minute or less. The optimum word there is less. That would be appreciated. I'm going to begin our morning orders with Chairman Hitchens. He has a special morning order that's special to both of us that represent Effingham County, and we have a group in the gallery he's going to tell you about. They left home at 5 a.m. this morning so they could be with us, if not earlier. So is that about right? 5, or was it earlier than that? 4 a.m. It is a long way from South Georgia up here, 4 a.m. So we appreciate y'all doing that. Chairman Hitchens.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. As the Speaker just said, we have a significant group, I think about 70 students up here from Effingham County, all state champions. And in addition, we have the Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Yancey Ford. Where's Yancey? Principal, South Effingham County High School, Torian White. Members of the Board of Education, the Chairman, Vicki Decker, and Member Jan Landing. We have them up here today. First, the ladies. The ladies cheer team is for the second consecutive year is Georgia State champions in 6A. 5A, 6A are together. And not only were they state champions for 2 years, they had the highest score of any of the 100 teams that competed in the state championships. They had the highest scores of any classification. So thank you very much. We're very proud of them. Not only are they good athletes, we have a great academic program in our public school system. They are coached by Alec Whitaker and Cindy Hendricks, and they've done a great job. And secondly, we have the boys wrestling team, 6A champions for the second consecutive year. They're coached by head coach Christopher Bringer, who I understand is also a retired lieutenant colonel in the Army. He has Chris Hobbs, Ben Krause, and Anna Bringer as assistant coaches. And we have 2 individual state champions. Ashton Anderson, where's Ashton? He's the heavyweight state champion in Georgia. And Eli Wood. Last year they were 38-2. This year they're 37-0. They're undefeated, and they put on quite an exhibition, and we're so proud of them. Once again, not only are they good athletes, they're great students. We send a lot of students off to the University of Georgia, Georgia Tech every year, and even to some of the Ivy League schools. So thank you very much. We appreciate you driving all that way, getting up 4 o'clock in the morning.
We're proud of y'all. Welcome to the People's House. And I'll tell you, Chairman Hitchens did a great job. He had 2 morning orders in 1. So he complied with the time limit. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, which that was quite unusual that you would comply with the time limit, but you did. Representative Lim is recognized for a morning order. Please give the gentleman in the well your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm pleased to welcome Nesbitt Elementary and Principal Nakia Miller here today. If you all would stand, they're over there. This February, Nesbitt's team placed 3rd in robot design at the statewide LEGO Leagues robotics competition. Not content to master the sciences, they also recently showcased a whopping 18 of their students' artwork at the District Tapestry Showcase. Now they're here today learning about government, and we're very proud of you, so let's take a moment to give them a warm welcome. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
Thank you, Representative Lim, and welcome to the People's House. Chair Lady Cooper is recognized. Representative Adenia is on deck. On deck. Representative Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, I have a special group here today. It's the Walton High School Varsity Co-ed Cheerleading Squad. For the first time in 26 years, a Cobb school has won the statewide competition, and this is the squad that did it. I am so proud of them. They stress academic development and character as well as athletics in this program, and the win was based on hard work, unity, spirit, and a lot of help from very dedicated coaches. So will you please stand and help me honor this champion team from Cobb County, the Walton High School Varsity Co-ed Competition Cheerleader Squad. They're up in the back, on the back wall. Way to go, guys! Yay! Yay! Stick your hands up and wave. Woo, woo, they're back in there. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I hope that was under a minute.
Pretty close. We may just have a cheer off here in a few minutes downstairs. These two great squads, welcome to the People's House. We appreciate all y'all do. Representative Dunya, recognize and friends.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, colleagues. Today, I'd like to introduce to you Grayson High School Orchestra, led by Dr. Yo. If you guys can please rise. They performed this morning at the Central Presbyterian Church across the street, and they performed 3 beautiful selections. One, Rosie Midder, is a composition by Ralph Vaughan Williams, a prominent English composer. The second selection was in the company of Angels. As you know, music is the food of love. Go Rams, thank you for being in your house. Let's give them a round of applause, please. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Welcome to the People's House. Thank you, Representative. Representative McLean, I see you're already here in the Gwinnett delegation. Representative Dewey McLean in the Gwinnett delegation, recognized for a morning order.
Thank you.
Always something different you can do, right?
Yes. And he knows when he was a senator, Roy Barnes did it. He had a Republican.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. All those people.
Gentlemen, suspend for a minute. We've got some folks entering and leaving the gallery. Okay, Representative McLean, I think we're ready to go.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House colleagues, me and the Gwinnett delegation would like to join me in welcoming the Gwinnett Youth Commission. The Youth Commission is a year-long Gwinnett County government outreach program designed to engage and educate high school students in local youth government and civic affairs, developing the next generation of leaders. The commissioners serve as representatives to and for Gwinnett Board of Commissioners, department directors, and community leaders. There are currently 32 students, and these students come from Peachtree Ridge, Duluth, Paul Duke, Central Gwinnett, Gwinnett School, Collins Hill, Discovery, South Gwinnett, Killian Hills Christian, Grayson, Decula, Brookwood, Shiloh, North Gwinnett, Mills Creek, Lanier. And I want to thank these students for making the trip here and making every effort to be here. And they should be up in the audience somewhere. Is that them standing? Well, there they are. If you all can stand up and give our Gwinnett Youth Commission a nice hand. I'm glad they made it in, Mr. Speaker. Thank you all students for being here. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Welcome to the People's House, young people from Gwinnett. Representative Hong, recognized for morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to recognize and commend the divisions of the GBI and their anti-gang initiatives. In 2019, Governor Kemp implemented...
Lady, will suspend just for a moment. You have some friends that want to join you.
Sure.
Lady will continue.
Thank you. In 2019, Governor Kemp implemented the anti-gang initiative and instituted the GBI Gang Task Force. And since then, GBI invested substantial personnel, time, and resources of the Investigative Division, the Georgia Crime Information Center, and the Division of Forensic Sciences to fight criminal street gangs. We have the GBI Director, Chris Hosey, joining us today and his team. If you can stand up. If you can join me in welcoming and commending them today. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield the well.
Thank you, Representative. Thank you, Mr. Director, and your team. You're making a difference, and we appreciate what you're doing. Thank you. Representative Nullowitz, Representative Silcox, Representative Holland, all recognized to salute the Junior League. Give the Lady Noel your attention, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yes, it is my delight once again to recognize the Junior League of Atlanta and to welcome so many of their amazing members to the Capitol. I am a member of the Junior League. Representative Silcox is a member of the Junior League. We both have been for a very long time because they used to let babies join. The Junior League of Atlanta is a group of women volunteers, more than 2,000 women strong in Atlanta. Casey's honorary. And their mission is to advance women's leadership for meaningful community impact through volunteer action, collaboration, and training, and dare I say, advocacy. The organization was founded in 1916. It has a storied history of founding many beloved nonprofits like the Atlanta Children's Shelter, Trees Atlanta, the Atlanta Speech School. Their work continues today through the lens of literacy, advocacy, training, and volunteering so that everyone has the essential skills to live a self-determined life. The JLA reaches out and impacts and includes women of all races, religions, and national origins who demonstrate an interest and a commitment to volunteerism. Today, they are here in support of priorities including legislation that would ensure safe and habitable housing, expanding child care and parent services funding. If you see a woman in red, chances are they're here with the Junior League of Atlanta, and I recognize them in the gallery today. Thank you.
Welcome to the People's House.
Representative Nullowitz, you might need to purge your membership and get Chairman Carpenter out of there. Thanks for what y'all do. We appreciate y'all do great work. The Junior League does. Thanks for being here. Chairman Dubnik is recognized for a morning order. Chairman Dubnik.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, for the first time in the history of Hall County High School basketball, a single school has won both the boys and girls state championship in the same season. My alma mater, Lakeview Academy, has won both state championships. Each, the boys and the girls teams, placed 3 players on the all-state team. Girls coach Ken Huffman was coach of the year. Boys coach Benji Wood was coach of the year. They are all in the gallery, but they could not have done it this year without the cheerleaders being there in support all along the way. Mr. Speaker, we have filled up the gallery. My friends from Lakeview, if you will stand and let us honor and recognize and congratulate you. And Mr. Speaker, if that wasn't enough, one of our varsity athletes, Jacob Duke, also won a state championship in skeet shooting. We are proud to have him here and all of the Lakeview family. Go Lions.
Great year for Lakeview. Congratulations. Great year. Thanks for being here. We appreciate y'all making the effort. Chairman Powell, Chairman Irwin are recognized.
Come on down, golfers.
All the golfers. If you're a hacker, come on down. I think you got most of y'all, Mr. Chairman.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and ladies and gentlemen of the House. Today is golf day at your Capitol. Up in the gallery, we have some of the golf professionals that do such a good job in this state. I spoke briefly about it last week when we presented the Governor's Cup trophy. But we have there's almost $6 billion of economic enterprise generated for the state of Georgia and the golfing community. They employ some let me get my glasses on. That's the reason I can't put as well as I used to. 24,000 jobs, direct jobs at golf courses. 55,000 jobs are supported. We have almost 400 golf clubs in the state of Georgia. Georgia is a golf mecca. You can play golf, you can enjoy golf 12 months out of the year. And that being said, we have 2 of the most prestigious and premier golf events worldwide with the Masters at Augusta and the Tour Championship at Eastlake. Ladies and gentlemen, give a round of applause to our friends over here with the golf. There they are. Thank y'all for being here, and pass this down to the lowly folks who actually rake them cursed traps. So we thank all the employees that work golf courses.
Representative Marin is recognized for a morning order. Representative Pete Marin.
And Representative Martinez.
And Representative Martinez.
Right. Come on.
Representative
Good morning.
A. Martinez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning. Today I rise to recognize and commend Unión de Asociaciones de Charros del Estado de Georgia. Charrería, deeply rooted in Mexican culture, traces the roots to the 16th century when it emerged from the daily tasks of cattle management on Mexican ranches. Charrerías is perhaps the only sport that was born as a direct result of work and this skilled Mexican cowboys, known as charro. Today I have several of them in the gallery. Would you stand and be recognized? Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Welcome. All right. I'm gonna.
Awesome. Good to have y'all. I love the sombreros. I think that's right, isn't it? Sombreros. Good to have y'all with us in the People's House. Representative Jenkins recognized for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Friends, Georgia is home to some 70,000 miles of rivers and streams, 425,000 acres of reservoirs, and along the state's coastline, 5 large estuaries fringed by some 400,000 acres of coastal marshes. We've got a lot of water in this state and thus a lot of places to play in the water. The state's outdoor recreation economy generates some $27 billion in consumer spending annually. Today we have with us at the Capitol some of the organizations and individuals that know this water best. You may have noticed them in their life jackets. I'd like to recognize these organizations during their Boaters Day at the Capitol. First, the Georgia River Network is the Department of Natural Resources non-governmental partner promoting the state's water trail program, a system of more than 36 boating paths around the state. Georgia Canoeing Association is a statewide organization that promotes recreational paddling, river courtesy, skill development, river safety. It works to keep Georgia's rivers clean, flowing, and open to the paddling public. American Whitewater is a national organization with many Georgia members focused on protecting and restoring our nation's whitewater rivers and enhancing opportunities to enjoy them safely. American Canoe Association is a national organization with a strong Georgia membership which serves as the national governing body for the Olympics paddle sports and serves the broader paddling public by providing paddle sports education programs, supporting stewardship initiatives that affect paddlers and the rivers they enjoy, and also offer competition opportunities to paddlers of all abilities. Please join me in welcoming these organizations and their members today. If you could please stand. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Scott. Representative Sandra Scott is recognized for a morning order.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today, the National Foundation of Women Legislators will be here between 3 to 5 in room 510. Women, if you have the opportunity, please stop by. The National Foundation of Women Legislators will be here today. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield the well. Come on, Billy. We know you love to come.
Representative Lupton is recognized for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wish to welcome the ninth graders from Chamblee High School who are here today. If they're in our gallery today, Chamblee High School is where my children have attended school, and Sally Stanhope, one of their civics teachers, has brought a great group here today to learn about government. You guys here? They're not here, but I'm acknowledging you. Congratulations, you're in the people's house. I yield the well.
Representative Cummins, Representative Terry Cummins is recognized for a morning order.
Good morning.
And friends. That means you two.
Good morning. I'd like to recognize the 10-year anniversary of the Georgia Advancing Communities Together, Georgia Act. This organization is a statewide member organization for nonprofit affordable housing and community development organizations engaged in housing development, housing counseling, and community development. Thank you.
Are they there?
If you're here, stand up.
Representative Brad Thomas is recognized for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to welcome the Georgia Tech Glee Club today. They're up here in the top right of the gallery, if y'all could stand up for me. The club was founded in 1906, and it's the oldest student organization at Georgia Tech, and it's the oldest glee club in the South. The club is known for its fresh, occasionally humorous interpretations of popular music, and it's also known for a policy of not requiring auditions, so I might actually be able to join it. Otherwise, welcoming students of all musical abilities and talents. Please visit them today. They'll be performing some live music in 2:30 CAP anytime between 11:30 and 12:30. With that, I will yield the well. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Members, if you will come to the floor, Mr. Clerk, how about ring the bell a couple of times for me? Members will please come to the floor. Doorkeepers, will you have folks move in that may be standing in the ante rooms, move in or out? We have a couple of special, very special morning orders. We have some members who have made some decisions. The members of this House will please take your seats. Members of the House, please take your seats. And give the member in the well your attention. I'm going to recognize a friend who's been that way for a number of years. My friend, Representative Roger Bruce, is recognized for a morning order. Representative Bruce. Come on, y'all, that's not right now.
All right. All right. As the late, great Kenny Rogers once said, you got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, and know when to run. It's time for me to walk away. As I thought about what I wanted to say on this final trip to the well, and I say final trip, I'm hoping that the Rules Committee doesn't pass something that makes me come back down here. But I will if I have to. But anyway, three things come to mind that I want to include in my final remarks. One, thank you. Two, share a few memorable moments. And three, leave you with a challenge. So after 22 years of service, managing to survive this organized chaos that we call the General Assembly, thousands of meetings, board meetings, school board meetings, PTA meetings, city council meetings, the county commission meetings, judiciary committee meetings, which was a whole lot and very long, Fulton delegation meetings, and all the other meetings, events, retreats, and all the other things that we are called on to do. I simply just want to do something else. And we all have to know when our time has come. So thank God for giving me the strength to make this journey. Thanks to my wife, Angela, and my children for the countless hours away from my family so that I could be here to do this work. There are other indications that it's time to go. For example, when you have to give yourself 30 minutes to get from the CLOB to the Capitol. When you walk past the steps looking for the elevator, and if you do take the steps, you're holding on to the handrails and walking down one step at a time. When you no longer want to go to events over at the depot because you just don't feel like making the walk, it's time to go. It's also time to go when you know that you're not going to solve all the problems in the world from this position. Because if you're in the minority party, you have a better chance of hitting the lottery than you do of getting your bills out of rules. Yes, I want you to know that I was part of a group, Al and some others. We were all part of a freshman class that thought we were going to come down here and change the world. The year that we came, we had to elect a new Speaker of the House. We decided that we were not going to vote for anybody to be Speaker of the House unless we interviewed them first. I thought we were going to have to call an ambulance on Calvin Smyrie when he found out what we were planning to do. He told us that we had lost our minds, that we could not interview people for Speaker of the House. That's when we learned the power of numbers in this place. We had more numbers, and they could not elect a speaker without us. And the candidates for speaker knew that, and they agreed to the interview. During that interview, we asked them, we said that, well, we kind of sent him into another cardiac arrest. When he found out, we told the candidates that we interviewed that we wanted to be officers on every committee that we served on. And he said, "Are you crazy?" And we said, "Yep, we want to be officers." And we asked the candidates for speaker if they would agree to make us officers. One candidate said, "Yeah." The other candidate said, "No way." Guess who we voted for to become the Speaker of the House? I ended up as the vice chair of the insurance committee. He's not here, but I believe Billy Mitchell ended up being the vice chair of reapportionment as freshman. And we didn't know where the bathroom was, but the point was we insisted on it, we knew how the numbers worked, and it happened. My first piece of legislation was to come up with a committee that was going to look at how people who did repairs in your home were licensed. And he's not here either, but if you would believe that my co-sponsor of that bill was Barry Fleming. That's what I said. What? And the way it came about, the way I met Barry, he was telling somebody that he was from Harlem. And I was like, "I'm from Harlem. I don't remember seeing you in Harlem." And that's when I learned that there was a Harlem, Georgia, as well as a Harlem, New York. I mean, I was really thrown by that. But we agreed to sponsor that bill together. And we have not agreed on anything since that time. My second piece of legislation was with Howard Mosby and Virgil Flood, Alicia Morgan, well, it was Thomas at the time. We were all freshmen, and we decided that we wanted to change the state flag of Georgia, to remove all of the Confederate emblems that were on that flag. And we were able to get a few of the senior members to join us in that effort. And we got that bill passed. And what was so weird about it is that I was told, I had a picture that I wanted to show you. They told me it was too graphic to put it up there. But we had people take our images off of the state site, and they made me look like I was Gaddafi. They had put a beard on me, one of them hats on me, and they did it with all of them. And that went across the entire state. And I really wanted to show it to you, so if you really want to come see it afterwards, come over to my desk, I'll show it to you. But that was when the first time that we started getting phone calls, hundreds by the minute. People were calling us from all over the state. Our lives were threatened. all kinds of things were happening because of that flag. The Ku Klux Klan marched around the Capitol that day. They didn't wear their masks, but they marched around the Capitol. I'm telling you these things because it is part of the history. We've come a long way, but we still have a long way to go. We have not done all the things that we need to do. After that first term, I was fired up and I was ready to go. I was on a mission at that point to get us a new school in the district that I served. I wanted a new school building. So I was at a school board meeting that I talked about earlier about all the meetings I went to. I was at a school board meeting, and during that school board meeting, I felt something pop in my head. Didn't know what it was, didn't hurt, but clearly I knew something was wrong. And I went to my wife, and men, we never volunteer to go to the hospital, right? We don't do that. But that night, I did. I told her something was wrong, and I needed to go to the hospital. When we got to the hospital, which was right down the street from the school board meeting, there was no neurologist on duty. But as we were going through the do you have insurance routine, I passed out. A blood vessel had burst in my brain, and it knocked me out. So everything that happened after that was what my wife told me happened. Since there was no neurologist on duty, they put me in an ambulance and they took me down to Atlanta Medical downtown. And once we were there, the neurologist that was on duty didn't know what was going on and told my wife that he wanted to perform exploratory surgery on my brain. And my wife told him, "Are you crazy? I'm not going to let you do exploratory surgery on his brain. I'm going to take him to another hospital." Then they told her that if she put me in an ambulance and took me somewhere else, I'd be dead before I got there. She's a religious lady, and she said, "We'll take our chances. We'll put it in the hands of God." So they took me over to Emory, and Emory figured out what was going on, and they kept me in a coma so that they could do the work that they needed to do to bring me back around. Several weeks later, I woke up, not knowing that I had been out that long. I was told that my first words were, "Did we get to school?" And yes, we did. We got to school. While recovering in the hospital, I told the nurses that I was a member of the House of Representatives, and they laughed and thought I was suffering from the after effects of the surgery that I had just gone through. Speaker Coleman arranged for me to call in and put me on those two screens that you see from my hospital bed and allowed me to say hello to everybody. I wish I had the video of the nurses when they saw that. They were like, "Oh, he is." Clearly, that was a feeling of family. That was a time when I got so many prayers and so many people and so much support. I did feel like this was a family. And I really want to say thank you to all of you that were here when that happened. There were only a few people that knew that when I came out of that coma, that I had lost my ability to read. I knew what an A was, and I knew what a B was, but I could not put the sounds together to create the words. It was weird because I was still able to write, but I couldn't read what I wrote. And that was also an election year, and I was in no condition to campaign. But once again, this family that we have here stepped up. Representative Mosby, I don't know if he's here, he said he was going to try to come by. Representative Flood and others campaigned for me, and I won the election to return. But now I had to figure out how I was going to do that without the ability to read. I started therapy and discovered that I could retain things if I heard it. So I got a computer that I loaded all of the bills. I loaded all the bills on that computer, and I would sit back over there and listen to the computer read those bills to me. Only my seatmate knew what was going on. Only my seatmate knew what was happening. After about 9 months later, it felt like my brain just rebooted, and things were beginning to improve. I started to read, although I never was able to start reading at the same pace that I once read at. I used to read very fast. But I started reading and listening to the bills. Then the political climate changed. The governor's office went to the Republicans, and several members of the House switched parties, giving the Republicans the majority. A few years later, the Senate changed as well, and life has never been the same. After going through and getting adjusted to the change, another medical issue came about. I found out that I had prostate cancer. No symptoms, found out during a routine checkup. I urge all of the men in this room to get checked. So I had to go to 40 days of treatment. Every day of the session, I would go to Emory at 7 a.m. in the morning for treatment, and then I would come here. I never missed one day of serving my constituents. On the last day, I hosted the doctor of the day, and I told everyone what I had gone through. And I had the doctors that treated me to address this body about the need to be treated and tested, to be tested. As a suggestion, Mr. Speaker, we should go back to letting the doctor of the day come to the chamber and give a quick medical tip on each time that they came. It may save the life of somebody in here. Again, I really want to thank my seatmate, Gloria Frazier. She told me, she put this up there because she knew I was going to probably need it. But she was one of the only people in here that knew that what I was going through. We sat over there, and she kept me pumped up. She kept me going. She kept me in a state of mind that I did not let all those things that were happening affect what I was doing here. So Gloria, I gotta say thank you. I really do. She helped me get through all of this. Derek Jackson and I, there's Derek over there, we used to have a show. You were part of it for a while too. We had our own show. We called it Under the Gold Dome. We had a 2-year run on that thing, and we interviewed a lot of people. We thought we were TV stars. And we went through a lot of information and shared a lot of information with a lot of people. And Derek, I just wanted to thank you for sharing that experience with me. It was a great time while we were here. After 22 years, there are so many people to thank, and you just can't do it all. And I know that the speaker's going to push this button up here probably at some point, but I do want to say thank you to one more person. We have parked next to each other in the same parking space for as long as I can remember, fussing if somebody got in our parking space. We have had countless conversations about legislation, budgets, new ideas, all kinds of things. And we just talked a lot about life in general because both of us had a lot going on. My sister from another mother, Deborah Bazemore, thank you. Thank you for always being there. There are so many more people that I want to thank. The staff, our clerk, he has been great. I've never had any issues. I go up there and tell him what's going on, and he was always responsive to me. So thank you, Mr. Clerk. The doorkeepers, when I walk in and they walk up to me and they say, "Good morning, Representative Bruce," that's a great feeling. And they say it not only to me, but they say it to you. And I hope you respond to them and not just walk past them. Legislative Council and everybody else that helped me do this job, I really thank you. I really, really do. I know we have to move on, so finally, the challenge. Mr. Speaker, you and I have had a very good conversation about two pieces of legislation that I proposed. I want to thank you for that conversation and for understanding without judgment why I proposed those two pieces of legislation. That is the way it's supposed to be here. You talk about your differences and you try to come up with something that will satisfy everybody. You discuss it and then you move on. Whether you agree or not is not the issue. It's the fact that you had the discussion and there was an attempt. One of those bills was decided by the courts, so I won't even deal with that one. But the other one, House Bill 955, did not get a hearing in committee. That bill would have created a study committee to do exactly what we did a few weeks ago. For those two people that were wrongfully arrested and jailed for something that they did not do. That was the right thing to do. We voted to give those people reparations to help them get back on their feet. Again, that was the right thing to do, and I was happy to support the action that we took that day. I believe that was your bills. Is that correct? But my challenge is that we step up once again and do the same thing for the descendants of one of the worst periods in the history of our country and our state. Slavery was real, and it is still having an impact on this country and this state. I understand that crossover has passed, but I also know that if there's a will, there's a way. We can attach that to one of these Senate bills that we're dealing with, or Mr. Speaker, you can just form a study committee to look at this issue, the impact that it is having and has had, and come up with a House study committee that could make recommendations on legislation to be introduced in the next session. So I want you to go down in history as the Speaker and the legislators that started the healing process and did for thousands of people what we did for those two people a few weeks ago. Everyone has spoken so far about this being a family. My last request is that we do as families do, that we step up, we embrace each other, and help one another, and do one more time what we did 2 weeks ago. I really appreciate all of you. I really, really do. But there's a picture that they're going to put up on that, I think they're going to put it up there, that I wanted you to see, because people keep asking me what I'm going to do next. I'm going to do two things. My colleague, where is he? He's not, there he is. we're going to start our own business. We're going to do documentaries about people that have, Carl, stand up so they know who I'm talking about. You hiding in the corner. We're going to do documentaries about people who have done things to help this state and this country that have not had an opportunity to be recognized for all the things that they've done. We're going to do that. But also, is the picture coming up? Okay, I'm good. If the speaker's good, I'm good. There's a whole lot of other things I wanted to say, but I'm not going to say, but I want you to see this picture. Hopefully they'll get it up there shortly. That's what I'm going to be doing. I'm headed to Texas to spend time with my granddaughter, Nova. That is Nova. Somebody take a picture of that so I have that on that big screen, please. So to all of you, I just want to say thank you, God bless you, and Mr. Speaker, with that, I yield the will.
Representative Bruce, thank you for 22 years of serving Georgia, the people of your district, but more importantly, serving our entire state. What a beautiful thing. And good luck and Godspeed to you. How about come up with me? Representative Roger Bruce, y'all. Let's give him another round of applause and show him our appreciation. Thank you, Representative Bruce. Representative Pedro Pete Marion. I'm going to ask members to give the member in the well your attention. Gentlemen, we'll suspend just for a minute. Members, if you will, Representative Bruce, if y'all will push back just a little bit, that'll be great. Or you can go to the south, and I know some folks want to come congratulate you on your years of service, as well as take a photo in front of those flags, which is always pretty impressive. Members, please give the member in the well your attention. How many years you been here, Representative Marion?
22.
22 as well. What a class. What a class.
No, I didn't brought water.
You need a water?
Yeah, just, thank you.
Glad your assistant was able to assist.
So,
Well, she did she did a pretty good job. Representatives recognized. Representative.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Pedro Pete Marin, we appreciate you, man. Go ahead now.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, buenos dias. You know, I asked the Speaker to do this speech next Wednesday because my wife was going to be here next Wednesday because time, and I asked my wife, and she said, you know what, better, because the last thing I want is to see you cry. So you know, it truly has been a ride. My God, I've truly been honored. And, you know, I think one of the things that I wanted to do, Mr. Speaker, is just kind of tell folks, you know, how do I came to this great institution. And then, as you know, born and raised in San Juan, Puerto Rico, a beautiful island of the Caribbean. And we moved as a corporate transfer. And 3 months after we were here, the company went into a big merger. And I got one of those calls saying, Pedro, you know, it's going to take about 6 months to a year. I saw my wife crying. Let's go back home. We wanted to stay. We did a democratic vote, and my son and myself wanted to stay. She wanted to leave, so 2-1, we stayed. So what I did was I reinvented myself around helping nonprofit organization. As you know, something happened in the 1990s, which was the Olympics, and we had that flux of workers coming in to build the venues and the arenas and everything. But there was a lot of organizations that were not really catered to deal with that growing community. So I started doing nonprofits, went to nonprofits, different nonprofits, developing their Latino initiative until I became the executive director of a nonprofit. And I was the executive director for about 2.5 years. The organization used to be called the Mexican Center of Atlanta. You know, Puerto Rican, the executive director of the Mexican Center of Atlanta. And I learned a lot about the Mexican community here in the state of Georgia. In 2001, former Governor Roy Barnes asked me to join a commission on Hispanic affairs. So in 2001, that was the first time that I came to the Capitol to my swearing and committee meetings and everything. In 2002, there was an open seat where I lived, so I had a group of leaders that asked me to run for office, which I did. And I ran unopposed that first time. And I think it's important that we always recognize our opponents, because I have always said that our opponents makes us stronger. And I'm gonna read, because I have several friends that were my opponents. George Warren, 2004, Torrey Lewis, 2006, Keith Stewart, 2008, Torrey Lewis again, 2008, Brian Mock, mayor of Chamblee, 2010, Mark Williams, 2012, Rick Underwood, 2016, and Eileen Laurie, 2022. So I've been contested, believe me. So I know a little bit about politics. In fact, I'm announcing today, Mr. Speaker, that in 2026, I'm putting a company called All I Do Is Win Consulting Group. So, so you know, if you have a race and everything, just call me. But you might not find me, because I'd be probably, you know, in a hammock, ocean breeze, with a pina colada in my hand. So looking forward to that. But, you know, I was talking the other day with a group of young leaders, and one of them asked me what would be my legacy in 22 years in the House of Representatives. And, you know, legacy is when you're about done, or, you know, you're there. And I can say that my legacy has been to really build that bridge between the diverse communities of Georgia and state government. Because again, I help, and I'm not gonna say I was the one, but I help in bringing Latinos, of course, and Latinos from different countries, but also the Vietnamese community, the Korean community, Chinese community, Pakistani, Indian, Muslims. So again, I think that has been my legacy in making sure those groups are noticed in the state capitol. And today, you know, I brought the Charros Association of Georgia because I think it's important that we know them and people around the hallways see them and their costumes and their tradition because it is a tradition. Had the honor to be that worked with 4 speakers. Of course, when I came in, Terry Coleman, Glenn Richardson, the great David Ralston, and my friend in the back, Mr. John Burns. Governors, of course, I served under Roy Barnes with that Commission on Hispanic Affairs, Sonny Perdue, Sonny Perdue, Nathan Deal, and Brian Kemp. So again, and you know, now hearing from Roger Bruce on his away speech, and we came from the same class in 2003. You know, I did the math, and there's 10 representatives from both sides that are retiring this year. And I did the math, and there's 154 years of knowledge and wisdom leaving the House this year. 154 years of knowledge in between the legislatures that are retiring this year. And to all of them, you know, my heart goes to them. This is a difficult job. You know, whoever tells you this, it's like Boy Scouts. I don't know who's been in the Boy Scout as a leader. Oh yeah, you're gonna do 1 hour a week. Lying, lying. You know, because they say, well, 3 months a year, and that's it. 40 days assembly, and that's it. No, this has become, you know, a year type of job. And for us, it's really difficult to sometimes juggle personal life, professional life, and political life, because we have to be out there. If we want to get reelected, we want to get, you know, our name out, work with the community. You know, things happen, and June 10th, (2017), I lost my son. Oh, no. Sit. Please, sit. Our only child, so love it. You know,
Representative, this whole house grieved with you and your family, the loss of your son. There's no doubt about that. And our heart still goes out to you.
And I want to thank a lot of the members that were with me that day. It's not easy. It's not easy being your only child. So, you know, I saw that Roger Bruce was, you know, seeing his future. You know, that's when I told my wife in 2018 that, you know, we were going to be done. I was going to be done early. That we were going to try to retire and enjoy ourselves and travel and all that. So 2018, I didn't keep the promise. 2020, I didn't keep the promise. 2022, I didn't keep the promise. 2024, she was here with me when I did the announcement just to make sure that I was making that announcement about retirement. And you know, I wanted to do just a speech, maybe, you know, do an email press release or something like that. But I had some leaders that wanted me to do a press conference on the steps of the Capitol. And I want to thank Speaker Burns, Chair of Frustration, Leader Beverly, and so many others that were with me at that moment when I announced that I was not going to retire. Saying that, believe me, I carried my paperwork and a check in a briefcase for about a week because I announced over a month and a half, and I didn't hear anything in my district. And I say, oh my God. And my wife say, what happened? I say, nobody's announcing. And I say, you're not going to do it. And I say, there's two scenarios. There's two scenarios. Always keeping, I'm one of those that I see the glass half full. So two scenarios. One, that nobody qualifies. I will have to qualify by default because I don't want to leave the district vacant. Or that an opposing party will qualify and no Democrat will qualify. I will have to qualify to protect the seat. But that didn't happen. We got three outstanding ladies running for the seat. So you're going to have some new, fresh face from the 96th district. It has been truly an honor. And I've seen so many speeches in my 22 years about people leaving. A lot, believe me, a lot of speeches. And you dread that day that it comes to you. And I didn't sleep last night, believe me. Even with melatonin, I had to take a little overdose of melatonin last night so I can take a shut eye. But you're going to think about what you're going to say or how it's going to be received. We have laughter, we have tears. People are paying attention. So, I want to make sure that my wife has been my rock in fact, we're celebrating this month 41 years of marriage. So thank you. And she told me, are you going to record that or are you going to tape that? I say, yeah, you're going to see me crying in the podium. So she was just looking forward to that. But, we got together and, has been a blessing. Like I say, has been the rock. Future, what holds for us is, I have to, of course, finish my term because I'll be the representative until my replacement comes in, so I have duties. But, our job is not easy, and one time I saw my calendar, I was maybe 5 nights, 6 nights away from home. And I know that you guys have done the same, because you have to, be at maybe ribbon cuttings or an award or just a meeting that they want to have you in that meeting. So it had turned into, and I a couple years ago, I draw the line and I say, okay, I'm going to an event if I want to speak, if I'm going to give something away, or I'm going to be receiving something, okay? But just to go and eat the chicken, to a gala or get myself dressed up to go to gala and just to stand up and, not running for re-election. So, that helps. But you guys got to do it. Mr. Speaker, it has truly been an honor, and I don't want to talk about things that happened, things that didn't happen. I want to send, and I know she's watching, my administrative assistant. We all have administrative assistant, and we deal a lot to them because they're the front. They're the front between our constituents and ourselves. So to Kimberly Whiteman, on Suite 611, I love you. We've been together for 22 years. I told myself, I said, well, I have one of those corner office. And I told Kimberly, and I think I told Sandra, I said, I'm gonna do an auction. Who's the best bidder to get that corner office? And of course, that's not up to me. That's up to the guy behind me. But somebody already say, oh no, that's mine. So, I'm blessed that I've been well recognized nationwide. From different groups. University of Georgia is going to come and pick up a lot of my stuff, a lot of my awards, my presentations, speeches that I have done in the Well and in other places, because UGA is doing archives for Latino political history. Okay, so I'm going to have them come in in a couple months, so they can start. I want to choose a couple because I want to take home several that has really mean for me. But they're going to come and take a lot of the things that I have in my office, and of course, research paper, bills that I've done. That's going to go to UGA on the archives, which is great. I think Brenda Lopez did it, Zulma Lopez also as well. Of course, they didn't have as many years and as much stuff that I got. You know, I was always joking because I shared the office with Mickey Stevens, and you know, my heart still goes to his family. You know, and when he moved in, oh my God, you should have seen his office everywhere. You know, things everywhere. And we were joking among our suite and say, I hope he stays because you believe to pick up all that stuff. Sad to say, he had to go 2 years later, so he had to pick up. And then we saw him come back, and we were in that corner. I spent a lot of my time with Billy and Mickey Stevens on that corner. And I remember, what was the tall guy, big guy that used to sit in the corner a long time ago? Limber? No, that's not. Well, that place used to be the space to smoke. All right, so the old timers know that they used to. I quit smoking 1998, but that used to be the smoke room for us, and that group right there. Every time that door swing open and closes, oh my God, you can feel and you can smell the tobacco, the fumes and everything, you know. So Limmore, James Limmore, the big guy, yes, and he was the one that really stood up and said, we gotta stop doing that. So again, I haven't seen the red light, so that's good. I can maybe do a song and dance, but no, it has truly been an honor. You know, things happen in life, and you know, I going back to my son. You know, the only thing we're happy is that we have him for 32 years, and he was our best 32 years that we had. Things happen. They call him up, you know, and again, I just want to thank you for a lot of my friends and a lot of members here, my colleagues that were supportive at that time of grief, you know, because it's not easy to lose a family member, nevertheless, you know, losing your only child. So, with that, bada bing, bada bang. I always said that in the corner. It has been a hell of a ride. It has been incredible experience. I'm truly honored that someone born and raised in the island of Puerto Rico came to the States, Georgia, Gwinnett, and you know, I took the bull by the horns. Yes, let me pat myself on that because you know, I saw a need. I saw that there was a voice to be heard. I saw that we needed to embrace our immigrant community, and I've done that. I had stand in the well many times, arguing, and in fact, I did that not too long ago, arguing on bad bills. But you know, it is what it is. You know, this is political. You have to understand, and one thing I learned a long time ago, don't take it personal. And please, members, this is if the only thing you get from my speech today is this is politics. Don't take it personal. Because again, this is not because of who you are or who you are not. This is just the way it is. So again, now I'm passing the baton to Lon Tran, you know, Sam Park, you know, Farouk, Sarah and Phil, Ray Martinez was with me all day with the Charros Association. Greg Wright, we know each other for a long time. But again, members, you know, my heart goes to you. Please keep doing the work that you do for the people of Georgia. You know, I've been blessed that I landed in Georgia, and you know, it has been really, really exciting and honor. I cannot say it any better way than that. Has truly me being honored to be your colleague and to stand side by side, many of you. You know, for the people, my colleagues that have passed away during my 22 years, again, my heart goes to their families. But the show must go on. With that, Mr. Speaker, I yield the well. Thank you.
Representative Marion, thank you for your service to this House and how you care about this House and the family of this House. Thank you for your service to your community. Thank you for your service to your district. If you will come up and join me, if you don't mind.
Or how we call it, an inquiry, parliamentary inquiry. You know, I love this house so much that with the company, Jolston Company, which makes rings, I designed a ring for members of the House here in the Georgia. And I know several, 5-6 years ago when we did that, several members have done that. So again, this is how much I love this house, that I even designed a ring, which I have on right now, that when you are vested, what better that, you know, you get your ring. I yield the well again.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. I'm looking forward to seeing that ring. Thank you for your service. Members will move on to the rules calendar. On to the rules calendar. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption of Senate Bill 483?
Senate Bill 483 by Senator Hatchett of the 50th, Kirkpatrick of the 32nd, Tillery of the 19th, to be entitled Act to amend Title 39 of the Official Code of Georgia and Territory relating to minors so as to enter into an interstate compact for the placement of children. This bill has been referred to the Committee on Juvenile Justice. That committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Representative Joseph Gullett is recognized to present Senate Bill 483. Give the gentleman the will your attention, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, I present Senate Bill 483, a legislative proposal aimed at enacting the revised Interstate Compact for the Placement of Children, also known as the ICPC. This bill represents a critical step forward in our ongoing efforts to modernize and improve the welfare and placement processes for children across state lines. The need for such reform is clear. The original Interstate Compact on Placement of Children was established in 1960 and was a pioneering effort to ensure safe, suitable placement for children in foster care and adoption across state boundaries. It created a framework for cooperation and communication between states, a framework that has undoubtedly served us well. However, as you guys know, the world has changed significantly since 1960, and our systems must evolve to keep pace with these changes. This revised ICPC, as proposed in this bill, seeks to address these evolving needs through several key improvements. First, it aims to evaluate the suitability of prospective parent placements through uniform mechanisms, ensuring that children are placed in environments that are not just safe, but also conducive to their growth and well-being. It also aims to provide the necessary support services to these families, ensuring they are equipped to meet the needs of their new family members. Moreover, the bill seeks to narrow the applicability of the compact, focusing our resources and attention where they are most needed. It proposes the development of specific timeframes for completing the approval process for child placements, and that's super important today. The time frame is really, really long. The establishment of clear rulemaking authority, the clarification of state responsibilities, and the increase in protection for familial relationships are all measures designed to streamline and improve the placement process. It's also crucial to understand that this compact will not go into effect until 35 states have enacted the legislation and adopted it. As of today, there are 16 states that have already taken this step. And by Georgia being in the first 35 states to enact the compact, it has a unique opportunity to contribute and influence the formulation of the rules and regulations that will govern the new ICPC. This is a chance for Georgia to lead, to ensure that our values and our commitment to the welfare and children are reflected in this critical, crucial interstate agreement. That's all I have, Mr. Speaker. Happy to answer any questions if there are any, and I urge your favorable consideration.
You have a question, Representative Jasmine Clark to your left is recognized for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
Sure.
Thank you so much for bringing this legislation. It is very important. I'm curious, you said that this won't go into effect until there's 35 states, and currently there's 16.
Right.
The 16 states, are they in the South, Southeast? Where are they, or do you know the 16?
I think that was said in committee, but I don't know the 16 or where they are. I'm sorry.
All right, does the gentleman further yield?
Sure.
So let's say the child is placed in a state that is quite far away, quite a distance away. I know that it's still going to be the responsibility of Georgia to make sure that that child is taken care of.
Right.
But if, for whatever reason, maybe there's a family or relative here in Georgia that now wants to step in and step back up, whose responsibility would it be to possibly transport or get that child back to Georgia so they can be with actual family?
So my understanding is a majority of these placements are out of state or for adoption, so they're not foster. So these families that have these children are in the process most of the time to be adopting these children.
Okay.
And so once that path is gone, I don't think just because there's a familial relationship that all of a sudden it's pulled back. It's really what's in the best interest for the child on a case-by-case basis. That's kind of where I believe that would be.
Thank you.
Thank you. If there are no more questions, Mr. Speaker, I yield the well.
No more questions. The gentleman is yielded the will. Representative Hutchinson is recognized to speak to the bill. Representative Hutchinson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, colleagues. I wanted to come up here a few minutes just to talk about how consequential this bill is. I spent a good chunk of my career filling out ICPC applications. And when they're done, it's about this thick of paperwork. You have to include court documents and the application itself and records and everything. And what you do is you send it to the ICPC coordinator in whatever state, and it sits on a desk until they get to it, which can take years. And I have seen adoptions slow up because of this process for years. So this would be very consequential. I hope the other states sign on, but when we talk about adoptions and we talk about how long it takes, this is one of the barriers to adoption. I hope that you vote yes for this bill, but I also wanted to tell you about one of the ICPC applications that I did. It was 2 children in custody in Georgia, and they found grandmother in Hawaii. I did the application. I lobbied to take the children myself. I was denied. But to watch those kids go from foster care to a beach in Hawaii was one of the highlights of my career. So if you have any questions about ICPC, I'll be more than happy to answer that, but other than that, I yield the well.
The lady is yielded the well. She had no questions. We have no further speakers. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And Mr. Clerk, will you unlock the machine? Have all members voted? All members voted. If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of Senate Bill 483, the yeas are 173, the nays are 0. The bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to Senate Bill 205? 205.
Senate Bill 205 by Senator Williams, the 25th, Robertson, the 29th, and others, to be entitled an act to amend Part 3 of Article 1 of Chapter 18 and Title 43 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to licenses for funeral directors and embalmers so as to change certain provisions related to the reinstatement of a lapsed funeral director's license. This bill has been referred to the Committee on Regulated Industries. That committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Representative Jason Ridley is recognized to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I know it's early and I know this is going to take a little while. It's a complex bill. Last year we passed out a bill that if you were a funeral director and you had lost your license, that just lapsed, you hadn't actually lost them through any sort of correction, but they just lapsed, that you could have a period of time to go back to do that if you repaid all the fees and everything. There was one little problem with it that the Attorney General found on line 13. We needed to add 3 words, or has allowed, and that's all this bill does. I'm ashamed to say that it's so complex they picked me to do it. So, Mr. Speaker, if there's any questions, I'll take any.
You have no question. Fact is stranger than fiction sometimes.
That's
as
exactly
I
right.
say.
Thank you. I yield the well.
Gentlemen, is yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? Have all members now voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of Senate Bill 205, the yeas are 171, the nays 1. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption of Senate Bill 342?
Senate Bill 342 by Senator Robertson, the 29th, Kirkpatrick, the 32nd, and others, to be entitled an act to amend Article 2 of Chapter 5 of Title 49 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to child abuse records, so as to authorize the disclosure or use of information from child abuse and neglect registries by the Department of Human Services. This bill having referred to the Committee on Juvenile Justice, that committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Representative Chair Lady Ballinger is recognized to present the bill. Chair Lady Ballinger.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill is a really simple bill. It just is to facilitate the recovery of missing children, and it would allow DFACS to share information with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Lady has no questions.
Thank you. I urge your favorable consideration of this measure.
Lady is yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? All members voted. If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of Senate Bill 342, the yeas are 171, the nays are 0. The bill, having received a requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption of Senate Bill 232?
Senate Bill 232 by Senator Kennedy, the 18th, and Tillery, the 19th, Gooch, the 51st, and others, to be entitled an act to amend Title 15 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to courts, so as to provide for probate court fees. This bill has been referred to the Committee on Judiciary. That committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Chairman Todd Jones is recognized to present the bill. Chairman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, I bring to you SB 232. This bill is effectively modernizing the probate fee structure. It went through the Senate 49-0, so massive bipartisan support, and it also went through House Judiciary. Effectively, it has 3 sections. The first section regards filing fees, administrative fees, etc. The second section speaks to the State Children Trust Fund and the $15 that's applied to each marriage application license and its dedication to that fund. And then section 3 speaks to indigent services and then also reform services and then also the rebate of those fees. If you go through the bill, you will see that not only has there been a significant amount of work done by the judges and also by the Senate, but in terms of multiple years, in terms of this bill has been looked at, in terms of making sure that hopefully we got it right and that you agree with me. Mr. Speaker, that is effectively the summary of the bill, and I'll yield for any questions.
The gentleman has no questions.
Thank you, sir. I yield the well.
Gentleman's yielded the well. Is there an objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there an objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? All members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of Senate Bill 232, the yeas are 168, the nays 1. The bill, having received a requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to Senate Bill 171?
Senate Bill 171 by Senator Burns, the 23rd, Gooch, the 51st, read of the 33rd, and others, to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 62 and Title 36 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to developmental authorities so as to limit the length of a director's holdover period following expiration of the term of office. This bill has been referred to the Committee on Governmental Affairs. That committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Representative Matthew Gamble is recognized to present the bill. Representative Gamble.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, I rise today to present Senate Bill 171. This legislation has the support of the Georgia Department of Economic Development, the Georgia Economic Developers Association. All this bill does is it will require 2 hours of training annually for Development Authority board members. This requirement will ensure that authority members are appropriately trained and aware of all the development and redevelopment programs and laws impacting economic development in our state. This training can be done online or in person, and there are providers throughout the state that are currently doing this for free. If a director fails to undertake the training in 2 years, they'll have their voting rights suspended until they complete their training. Also, this bill has a provision that allows a development authority to appoint or reappoint a board authority member if the governing entity, such as a city or a county, hasn't taken that action within 6 months. Again, all this bill will do is ensure that our development authorities are being managed in an efficient and professional manner. Mr. Speaker, that's the bill, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
You have no questions.
Thank you. I ask for your favorable consideration, and I'll yield the well.
Gentleman has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? All members voted. If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the passage of Senate Bill 171. The yeas are 171, the nay is 1. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Members, if you will join me in welcoming former member Michael Gravely. Representative Gravely. He hasn't changed his haircut style. It's all good. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption of Senate Bill 430? 430.
Senate Bill 430 by Senator Dolezal of the 27th, Watson of the 1st, Gooch of the 51st, Roberts of the 29th, and others, being entitled an act to amend Chapter 16 to Title 51 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to COVID-19 pandemic business safety so as to revise provisions for rebuttable presumptions of risk by claimants. This bill having referred to the Committee on Judiciary, that committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Representative Carter Barrett is recognized to present the bill. Representative Barrett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senate Bill 430 was passed unanimously in the Senate. In 2020, when COVID liability protections were put into place, it was contingent upon the business placing a sign or posting language on a ticket. I'm sure you've all seen the signs. This bill keeps the COVID liability in place, but it is no longer dependent upon placing the sign in your lobby of the business or on your ticket. With this bill, we can remove the signs from the front of stores while still having the COVID protections in place. That's it. Very simple bill. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Representative Reeves, to your right, has a question. To your right.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the gentleman yield for a question?
For my most excellent friend, I do.
Thank you. Is it not true that Georgia exercised leadership during the pandemic and was one of the first states to safely reopen, which kept the doors of a lot of small businesses open?
Unequivocally and unambiguously, absolutely yes.
The gentleman to your left, Representative Kelly, has a question. If you will yield.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the gentleman yield?
Yes, I do.
Isn't it true that as a result of the COVID liability protections that we put in place during the pandemic, that we haven't seen any lawsuits regarding COVID transmission across our state?
I'm sure the very clever, very, very bright gentleman knows exactly of what he speaks.
To your left, Representative Jasmine Clark has a question.
I will take one more question, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I do.
So when we were removing these signs, were the signs causing a burden on our small businesses or businesses in general?
Well, I mean, Georgia is again the top state in the nation for doing business. So anything that makes life a little easier on businesses and reduces additional unnecessary requirements is always a good idea. I think the statute actually expired back in 2022. So again, it's kind of a moot point, probably.
Does the gentleman further yield?
Yes.
Do you worry that when the sign comes down, people might think the law has changed for them and that now this is not the law of the land? They're used to seeing the sign and now the sign is gone. Is there any concerns about that, or was that concern raised by anyone?
I'm not concerned for that, and the Senate that approved this bill unanimously wasn't too terribly concerned, I don't think. But no, this was created during the middle of a crisis while we were figuring things out, and we're 4 years in now, and I think that the world is sufficiently up to speed. But thank you for your question.
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I yield the well.
Gentleman's yielded the well. You did have some questions, but he yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? For what purpose does Representative Newton rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Mr. Speaker, isn't it true that the actions taken by Georgia during the COVID-19 pandemic were supported by both medical and scientific background that was really led by our public health director, Dr. Kathleen Toomey, who we owe a great debt of gratitude? Isn't that true, Mr. Speaker?
That would be true. For what purpose does Representative Park Cannon rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Is it not true that currently today in Georgia, as it stands, Seminole County, Miller County, Decatur County, Turner, Tift, Irwin, Ben Hill, Colquitt, Spalding, Butts, Washington, Jefferson, Lowndes, Lanier, Eccles, Cook, Brooks, and Berrien counties are the highest number having COVID diagnoses this month?
I'm sure the lady has her figures correct. For what purpose does Representative Oliver rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
I make an assumption, sir, that most of the Republican leadership is for tort reform. Isn't it true that this bill increases the liability for Georgia's business and is against tort reform?
Well, I'm sure the lady is a learned attorney and she understands the law very well. Thank you for your insight. For what purpose does Representative Hong rise?
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. Speaker.
State your inquiry.
Mr. Speaker, is it not true that while this bill removes the signage requirement, nothing in this bill requires anyone to visit restaurants or big gatherings if they do not feel comfortable doing so?
I think I've heard that as well. We are a state and a country who makes decisions based on our own personal well-being and integrity. No doubt about that. Have all members now voted? If so, Mr. Clerk, will you lock the machine? On the passage of Senate Bill 430, the yeas are 146, the nays are 27. This bill having received the requisite constitutional majority is therefore passed. Members, we're going to take up Senate Bill 389 that we've carried over from last week on several occasions. So I'm going to ask the clerk, will you read the caption to Senate Bill 389? 389.
Senate Bill 389 by Senator Payne of the 54th, Kirkpatrick of the 32nd, Hodges of the 3rd, and others, to be entitled an act to amend Part 4 of Article 3, Chapter 2, Title 38 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to rights, privileges, and prohibitions so as to provide for the general to be official sponsor of the state-sponsored life insurance program for the Georgia National Guard. This bill having been referred to the Committee on Insurance, that committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Chairman John Carson is recognized to present the bill. Representative Carson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Folks, I present for your consideration Senate Bill 389. This is an agency bill. I think many of you received a letter on your desks from Commissioner of Insurance John King. All this does is specifically address the provision of a state-sponsored life insurance plan to the members of our Georgia National Guard. This move is in response to existing federal law, but also some regulations that have changed, which facilitate life insurance programs for National Guardsmen. There's one thing I did need to verify with the National Guard. This does not have a state cost. All this does is specifically note a state-sponsored plan and a state-endorsed plan under the Adjutant General. And what this will do is clear up throughout the Guard that this is the one state plan that's available for all of our hardworking National Guardsmen. If there's no questions, Mr. Speaker, I will yield the well and ask for the body's favorable consideration.
Gentleman has a question. Representative Gladney, if you'll take one to your left.
Yes, sir.
Does the gentleman yield?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it not true that with over 35 National Guard and Reserve units in this state, this bill will do very much good to support those individuals to have access to life insurance, sir?
The lady knows of what she speaks, and it will ensure that these life insurance benefits are available to all of our National Guardsmen and women. Thank you very much for the question.
Thank you, sir, for bringing this bill.
Mr. Speaker, I'm going to yield the will, sir. Thank you.
Chairman Parsons had a question, but if the gentleman has yielded the well, is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? All members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of the bill, Senate Bill 389, the yeas are 174, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. That completes our rules calendar. We have a couple of motions that we need to address. Chair recognizes Chairman Tyler Paul Smith for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that this House insist on its position disagreeing to the Senate amendment to House Sub to Senate Bill 73.
Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption?
Senate Bill 73 by Senators Tillery, the 19th brass, the 28th hatchet, of the 50th, being titled an act to amend Part 1 of Article 2, Chapter 5 of Title 46, the official code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions relative to telephone service.
Representative Smith is recognized to explain the motion.
Yes, sir, Mr. Speaker. There's still some agreements that we're trying to work out with the Senate on this, and so this puts us in a posture where we can get our heads together and get the language right. And with that, I ask this body's favorable consideration on insisting on our position.
Representative Smith has moved that the House insist on its position on Senate Bill 73. Is there objection? Chair hears none, and the House has insisted on its position on Senate Bill 73. For what purpose does Representative Leverett rise?
To make a motion.
State your motion.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the rules temporarily be suspended so that the bill can be read for the first time and assigned to committee.
Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption?
Unnumbered House Bill by Representative Leverett of the 123rd to be entitled an act to amend that act providing a new charter for the city of Washington.
On the gentleman's motion that the rules of this House be temporarily suspended so a bill can be read for the first time and assigned to committee, is there objection? Intergovernmental coordination. For what purpose does Chair Lady Camp rise?
To make a motion.
State your motion.
I move that House Bill 1443 be changed from intergovernmental coordination general to intergovernmental coordination local.
Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption?
House Bill 1443 by Representative Holland of the 54th and others being titled an act to provide for the operation of an automated transit vehicle lane monitoring devices for enforcement of transit and transit vehicles lanes in the city of Atlanta.
On the lady's motion, that House Bill 1443 be withdrawn from the Intergovernmental Coordination's General Committee and recommitted to Intergovernmental Local Committee. Is there objection? Hearing none, is so ordered. For what purpose does Representative Martin rise?
To make a motion.
State your motion.
I move that Senate Bill 137 be recommitted to the Higher Ed Committee. It is currently in rules.
Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption?
Senate Bill 137 by Senator Burns the 23rd and others to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 23-411 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating definitions regarding tuition equalization grants at private colleges and universities.
On the gentleman's motion that Senate Bill 137 be withdrawn from the calendar and recommitted to the Higher Education Committee, is there objection? Hearing none, is so ordered. For what purpose does Chairman Gunther rise?
To make a motion.
State your motion.
Motion is to move Senate Bill 203 from Defense and Veteran Affairs to Judiciary.
Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption?
Senate Bill 203 by Senator Anna DeVard of the 31st and others to be entitled an act to amend Article 3, Chapter 4, Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to industry service training program.
On the gentleman's motion that Senate Bill 203 be withdrawn from the Defense and Veteran Affairs Committee and recommitted to the Judiciary Committee, is the objection? Hearing none, is so ordered. Folks, we're going to move on to afternoon orders. I know you have a busy afternoon, members, so I'm going to ask the members as you come to the well to be as close to 1 minute as possible. Representative Inga Willis is recognized for an afternoon order. Representative Willis. I'm going to ask the members to stand, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, today I rise to acknowledge the glorious life of a friend, a Howard sister, and Brookhaven resident, Zenzile Whitsett. Some people are flashing lights that electrify the spaces that they enter. She was that. She was here, and she mattered. She was a trained artisan with the beauty of leontine. I would like to thank you, Zenzi, for your artistry, your magic, and your friendship. May the ancestors welcome you home. Our Howard sister Zora Neale Hurston wrote, "I have the nerve to walk my own way, however hard, in search of my own reality, rather than climb upon the rattling wagon of your wishful illusions." That was her. I ask for a moment of silence for the life and legacy of Zenzi Whitsett. Fly high, my sister, float on. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I yield back the well. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Willis, for that remembrance. Representative Maynor is recognized for a moment in history.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm sorry that this picture is a little blurry, but one of the things that I wanted to just point out for Women's History Month is, thank you for that. I used to work in the Office of HIV, AIDS, and STDs for CDC. The very first job I had coming out of college was working for the U.S. Surgeon General. This current diagnosis, new HIV diagnoses among women, by transmission category, it basically says up to 80% of women get new diagnoses of HIV/AIDS through heterosexual contact. The reason I'm bringing this up today for Women's History is because it now includes transgender in the women's category. If we are going to continue to protect women with research, we must not be disparaging to women facts. And so that is the Women's History moment, that now transgender women are included in scientific data of the women category. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Kimberly New is recognized for an afternoon order. Give the lady in the wheel your attention, please.
I'd like to ask my friends to join me.
She has friends.
I do have friends today.
Another moment in history.
Sir, it kind of sounded like I didn't have friends.
I'm not surprised. You're a pretty nice person.
In honor of Women's History Month, I'd like to highlight Viola Ross Napier from Bibb County and Bessie Kempton Crowell from Fulton County. These remarkable women were elected to the Georgia House of Representatives September 13, 1922, 102 years ago. These were the first women elected into the Georgia General Assembly just 2 years after the 19th Amendment granted women the right to vote. Napier was a school teacher, a mother. She pursued her dreams of becoming an attorney after her husband passed away. No one would employ her, so she started her own practice, she became a lawyer, started her own practice. She started representing other women. Bessie Kempton Crowell was an Atlanta constitutional reporter. She served 3 terms in the legislature, ending in 1931. She went on to become the editor and publisher of the Fulton County Daily Report. You know Underground Atlanta? She did that with a viaduct bill. So her legacy is still here and around the corner. We're sitting here today thanks to Napier and Crowell's unwavering hard work and dedication. They helped lay the foundation for all women in Georgia. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Made our state a better place. Representative Emory Donahue is recognized for an afternoon order. Please give the gentleman in the well your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. A year ago today, we rang the bell with my wife, Elaine. Prayer is amazing. She rang the bell a year ago today, and if she behaves, tomorrow will be our 43rd anniversary. She is up in my office, cleaning it up, mopping, and making sure everything looks good. I love you, Elaine. Happy anniversary. And my grandson, Levi, is back here, or maybe on the wall. Levi Joseph Brownlee, stick your hand up. So thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Elaine, we're so happy for you. And so know you're so blessed by the good Lord. No doubt about it. Representative Al Williams is recognized for an afternoon order. Representative Al Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. At the expense of possibly upsetting some of you, I kind of stood to say, after listening to some of my brethren on the Senate side who had opinions on Rivian and the plant up near Social Circle, having spent 24 years on the Development Authority in Liberty County and now the chairman, I hate to shock us, but do you realize that when we're elected, it does not make us an expert in economic development? I must say Pat Wilson has done an excellent job, and I do think that this is not the end of the story, but there are clawback provisions in there. But let's don't get involved in the intricate details of things that we really don't do every day for a living. I would never try to perform surgery, so let's just give it a chance. I've lost too many projects to Tennessee, Alabama, and South Carolina, and it's not the end of it. I watched the Mercedes plant was scheduled for Savannah. We thought the world ended when it didn't come, but look at that mega site now. Let's keep our eyes on the prize and stay out of the making of the sausage in the details of economic development. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Williams. You're right. Chairman Bonner, you're recognized for a special afternoon order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yesterday, we honored the 2023 class of inductees into the Georgia Military Veterans Hall of Fame. This diverse group of 15 men and women represent the best the state of Georgia has to offer. The class include ranks from private first class to a 4-star general and spans service from World War II to present day. Among the honorees are 2 service members killed in action and 2 prisoners of war. 2 of the inductees honored for their service were Commissioner of our own Department of Veterans Services, Patricia Ross, and former Governor Nathan Deal. All of the Hall of Fame photos are on display in their new permanent home on the first floor of the Capitol, where thousands of Georgians each year can read their stories and recognize the sacrifice made on their behalf to keep our nation free. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
It was a great day, some great remembrances. Chair Lady Mathiak's recognized for an afternoon order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today, I would like to invite my friends in the House to visit with Gordon University students. They are here in the Capitol in room 230, and they'll be there right now until about 2:30. Anybody that's got a student at Gordon, I'd love for you to come and say hello. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representing Brad Thomas is recognized for an afternoon order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Many of you might see these at your desks today. This is about the Civil Air Patrol who are here. The Civil Air Patrol is a federally chartered nonprofit corporation that is also the Air Force Auxiliary. Its mission is supporting American communities with emergency response, diverse aviation ground services, youth development, and promotion of air, space, and cyber power through aerospace education. With that, Mr. Speaker, thank you. I yield the well.
Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to a group of privileged resolutions?
Honoring the life and memory of Patricia Annette Lowry. Honoring the life and memory of Garth Anthony Dermott Henton. Honoring the life and memory of Walter James Gordon Sr. Honoring the life and memory of Robert Jennings Bob Shaw. Recognizing and commending the Grayson High School's Chamber Orchestra. Commending the Associated Builders and Contractors of Georgia for its efforts in making Georgia a top state for construction. Recognizing and commending Georgia Advancing Communities Together Incorporated. Recognizing and commending the Christian Business Women's Network International for outstanding contributions. Congratulating and commending Hartwell Golf Club. Recognizing and commending Jay Smith. Recognizing and commending Umu Igbo Unit. Recognizing and commending all the divisions of the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. Recognizing and commending Didi Tumba. Recognizing and commending Awet Iwaisu on his outstanding public service. Recognizing and commending Eric Mwangi. Recognizing October 20th, 2024 as Mashunja Day. Recognizing and commending Aaron Benjamin. Recognizing and commending France Bourget. Recognizing and commending Mickey Sparkle. Recognizing and commending the Nigerian Women Association of Georgia. Recognizing and commending Lawrence Prescott. Recognizing and commending Dr. Angela Harris. Recognizing and commending Hazel Carmen Mitchell. Recognizing and commending Hopeland Fitzgerald Comrie. Recognizing and commending Dr. Shannon Bluff, the 2024 Georgia High School Principal of the Year. Recognizing and commending the Georgia Tech Glee Club. Recognizing and commending Dr. Mika Troy. Recognizing and commending Dr. Diana M. Williams. Recognizing and commending Dr. Megan Beach Gomes. Recognizing and commending Tamika Johnson. Recognizing March 14, 2024's Georgia Hotel and Lodging Industry Appreciation Day at the State Capitol. Recognizing April 2024's Minority Health Month. Recognizing and commending Congressman Drew Ferguson, Congratulating the Lakeview Academy girls basketball team for winning the 2024 GIAA Class 3A State Basketball Championship. Congratulating the Lakeview Academy boys basketball team for winning the 2024 GIAA Class 3A State Basketball Championship. Commending Ostrigen, Darlington High School's 2024 Star Student. Commending Al Shorey, Darlington High School's 2024 Star Teacher. Recognizing, commending Ironworks Local 387 on the occasion of its 100th anniversary. Commending Chief John Mullen. Recognizing and commending Chuck Warbington. And commending the Georgia chapter of the National Women in Agriculture Association upon its 7th annual day at the state capitol. And for other purposes, that completes the reading of the privilege resolutions.
Is there any objection to adopting the privileged resolutions? Chair hears none, and the resolutions are adopted. Members, I need your attention before we go on to announcements, because I know some of you are going to need to exit the chamber and get on. First off, we'll go ahead and move all committee meetings back 30 minutes. 30 minutes. We're done here other than announcements. All committee meetings will just push back 30 minutes. Let me tell you about tomorrow. It is going to be a very special day for this House. Tomorrow would have been Speaker Ralston's birthday. Well, it is Speaker Ralston's birthday. And tomorrow we will unveil Speaker Ralston's portrait that will be placed just outside these chamber doors. Speaker Murphy on one side, Speaker Ralston on the other. To honor him and his family, to honor Speaker Ralston in this House and to his service to our state, his family will join us in the morning, along with 3 governors of this state of Georgia, to pay tribute and honor Speaker Ralston's great legacy to this House and to our state. It will be a special day. We will come in at 10 o'clock as usual. We will go through our preliminary activities as usual, and then we will recess for lunch. Then we will come back after lunch, and we will take care of the rules calendar and the other business of this House. We want to ensure that we properly honor a man that we all held in such high esteem, Speaker David Ralston. That's what we'll do tomorrow. If you have a question, come see me. We feel like, and there'll be some members who have an opportunity to speak, and I'll also tell you something else that's ended up working out. One of Speaker Ralston's favorite chaplains of the day will be our chaplain tomorrow. Chairman Mac Jackson will be our chaplain of the day tomorrow. That would be special. Speaker Ralston smiling about that, Mac. I can assure you of that. So that's our plan for tomorrow, and I hope everyone can be here, and certainly as we celebrate the life and legacy of Speaker David Ralston. We'll move on to announcements now. Chairman Corbett is recognized for an announcement. Announcements, again, will recognize all committee meetings will move back 30 minutes. All committee meetings.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is the announcement everybody's been waiting on. The Rural Caucus will be meeting over at the Ag Building for lunch. We've got roasted chicken, baked salmon, mashed sweet potatoes, green beans, and peach cobbler. Hopefully it's Dickey Peaches, but y'all come join us.
Chairman Camp, Chair Lady Camp, recognized for a announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is regarding local bills. If any of you have any local bills that are waiting on their ads, please let me know. This is the last week an ad can run. Really, the deadline should be tomorrow, but there are several people who had ads running this week, so we're going to have to suspend the rules for those bills on Monday. If that is you, please let me know so we can be aware of it and we can handle that business on Monday. Thank you.
Representative Tran is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The CAB delegation, please meet in the South Anteroom upon adjournment. The CAB delegation, please meet in the South Anteroom upon adjournment. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Representative Park Cannon is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just 3 announcements. Tomorrow, the Fulton County delegation will meet at 4 p.m. in Capitol Room 216. We need to approve our minutes, so if folks can come quickly, that would be super helpful to the process. Secondly, tomorrow is 3rd Annual Perinatal Provider Appreciation Day. If you have a midwife, OB, person who works in the perinatal space who you want to honor, we'll be doing a morning order, and many individuals are coming from different districts. It's also Black Midwife Day tomorrow, and all of that will take place in Capitol Room 123 between 12:30 and 3 p.m. Thank you. I yield the well.
Representative Eric Bell is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, I would like to invite you all to Georgia Young Democrats Day tomorrow at the Capitol. They will be here from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. in room 514 at the Coverdale. So come join us. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Jasmine Clark is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This evening at 6 o'clock p.m. at the National Center for Civil and Human Rights, Chair Carl Gilliard, the chair of the Georgia Legislative Black Caucus, will be presenting Building Bridges and Connecting Communities with members of the Hindu community. Please come out and join us. That's tonight at 6 o'clock p.m. at the National Center for Civil and Human Rights. Thank you.
Chairman Todd Jones recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, TII will be meeting in 417 for a pre-committee lunch, and then we will be meeting at 2:30 in the CLOB. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Chairman Lumsden recognized for an afternoon order.
Members of the House Insurance Committee, there will be lunch provided, Fox Barbecue, CLOB 514, about 1:15 till 3. Thank you.
Chairman Tyler Paul Smith recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Hong Subcommittee of Judiciary Non-Civil will meet at 2 o'clock, and then the full Judiciary Non-Civil Committee will meet upon adjournment of the Hong Subcommittee. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Victor Anderson is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Governmental Affairs Full Committee will meet in CLOB 606 at 3:30.
Chairman Bonner is recognized for an announcement.
Defense and Veteran Affairs, 3:30 in room 515. 3:30, room 515. Thank you.
That completes our announcements. Okay, everyone's aware of the afternoon priorities and about what we'll be about in the morning until lunchtime. So plan your day accordingly. We'll be busy tomorrow afternoon, so plan your day accordingly. The majority leader of this House is recognized for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that this House stand in recess until 5 o'clock p.m. and then stand adjourned until 10 a.m. on Thursday, March 14th, 2024.
On the motion of the majority leader, this House stand in recess until 5 o'clock p.m. today, and then be adjourned. At which time we'll be adjourned, and then we will come back and tend to the important business of this House tomorrow on Thursday, March the 14th, 2024 at 10 a.m. All those in favor of the motion will say aye. All those opposed will say no. The ayes clearly have it. We are in recess.